Hi, it's time for this week's question, and it comes from Leanne. And she writes, our son is 18 months old and has never slept through the night. We've tried everything. We took his soother away, we've unplugged the nightlight, we've removed all distractions, we've let him cry it out. I don't think it's a comfort thing because even if we come into the room, he continues to cry. He usually cries for a bottle once in the night, but that doesn't account for the 2 or 3 other times he's up. We usually have to sit with him until he falls asleep and then put him back into the crib. Is there anything else we can do? We are desperate. Well, thanks, Leanna. I can imagine after 18 months of not sleeping well, you're definitely desperate. Okay, so let's break it down into little pieces here. First of all, we're going to start with bedtime. And I know I sort of sound like a broken record about the bedtime thing, but it is ultimately the very best place to start. You can't do one thing at bedtime and then expect your child to do something completely different for night wakings. Teaching a child to sleep well means that every time they go into their crib or bed, whether it's bedtime, middle of the night, naps, they do the same thing. They need to be 100% confident with what their skills are so they can start doing it every time. Okay, so bedtime. He should have a routine. A good routine is having a bath, getting into jammies, maybe having a drink of something while looking at stories, brushing teeth, and going into the crib. Okay, he should be definitely going into the crib awake. I get the feeling that because there seems to be some rocking going on in the night, my guess is that at bedtime you probably rock him to sleep. Okay, so after the routine, into the crib awake, and then I suggest you do the stay in the room method with him. I know you've tried sort of letting him cry it out approach in the past, which makes me think you probably were either leaving or checking or just staying out of the room altogether. And I know that it might not feel like you're actually doing anything when you're staying there. He might be upset regardless, but I do find that it eases the transition a little bit, and even if the first night or two is bad, it usually starts getting better by night 3 or 4. So you would sit right by the crib. If he stands up, you try to lie him down a few times. If that's not working, then you can just try coaxing him down by rubbing the mattress and saying, it's nighty-night, lay down. And hang in there and hang in there until he falls asleep in that crib. Now, I know in your note you mentioned that you let him cry it out and he threw up. And I've actually seen that a few times today just going through the questions. And it's unfortunate. I don't like to hear when it happens. I think it's probably upsetting for everybody involved. I can imagine that it is. But you want to be careful how you handle it. Again, a child, the life of a child is all about what are the things that get me what I want? What kind of behavior do I do to get a reaction from people? And so if a child starts figuring out that throwing up is a sure ticket into your bed or out of the crib or for this to all stop, they will start doing it more and more often. I had a client once with a 2-year-old who could throw up almost on cue. The minute she went in the crib, she'd stick her finger down her throat and throw up. And that got her into her mother's bed, which was where she wanted to be. So just be really cautious and careful. At 18 months, that's an age where they'll start to put these pieces together and figure these things out. So often by staying in the room, sitting right beside the crib, saying a calming key phrase, doing a little bit of careful touch, can keep the situation calm enough that the child won't throw up. If it happens, again, like I said, it's not a pleasant experience, but if it does happen, then take your child out, clean them up, change sheets if you need to, have a little cuddle, sit together for 5 minutes or so and just be soothing and reassuring that everything is fine, but then you need to keep going. You have to put him back in the crib and start again. And so that's what I want you to do. Okay, until he's asleep. And then for night wakings, a couple of things here in your note. It said that he wakes for a bottle once a night. He shouldn't be having a bottle at all in the night anymore. He's 18 months old. There's really no physical reason why he needs to have a bottle in the night. And think about it from his perspective. It's kind of confusing if, once in the night, you get a bottle. To an 18-month-old, he's not going to know when. Maybe there's a special time that you're sticking to, but he knows he gets a bottle once in the night. So that could be why he's waking at other times wondering, wow, I don't know, sometimes I get a bottle and sometimes I don't. And then on the times he doesn't, you rock him. So there's lots of different confusing messages going on here. He uses the bottle as a prop. He's using you as a prop. So you need to eliminate all of those props. So taking away the bottle, taking away the rocking, and respond to every wake up exactly the same so that he knows what to expect for every wake up. Give him a 5 minutes or so to see if he'll work it out on his own. If not, then one of you go in, sit beside the crib, do all the things you were doing at bedtime until he goes back to sleep. No bottle until morning. And I usually don't suggest people consider morning anything before 6 a.m. And then at 6 a.m., nice to see him, good morning, get him up, start your day, and then you would have his either breakfast or his morning feed. Okay, so just clearing up some of the inconsistencies that he has, starting at bedtime, continue on through the night, and within a week's time, you're going to be seeing huge improvements in his sleep. It's not, I know you're feeling desperate, but the situation is not desperate. You can definitely fix this. Okay, so I encourage